What's up, military and veterans? The time has come for you to destroy your financial freedom goals, and luckily, there's an event coming up just for you.
The Veterans for Financial Freedom organization is hosting a seminar in San Diego, California this February on financial literacy, entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and some of our Agent Goldmine guests are rocking the stage as speakers.
Get your ticket at veteransforfinancialfreedom.org/Agent Goldmine and take action towards your goals today. Now, enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Agent Goldmine. Today we have a super exciting, fun little twist for you, a little plot twist. We're not doing a normal episode. This entire episode is a compilation of, what is it? Allie,
Bloopers. It's a compilation of bloopers up in the beginning. I reviewed this and I started cracking up. Bloopers and our top episodes since we have started this podcast. So listen, laugh, enjoy, be a bro, and share this show.
No. We're doing it right now. We're gonna be fucking honest. Guys, I can't believe that just happened. We literally were interviewing Landon for damn near, 40 minutes of genius. And I must not have hit the start on the record button. So, Landon, love you so much. I'm so sorry. We're here to do this again.
Let's do it.
Oh my god, I hate myself
We'll do our
so
best.
much. Bro, okay, endless shame forever.
That's it for today. You know what to do. Be a bro.
Be a bro. Share the show. Cool. Still working on it.
So, is this edited? Like,
Yes.
if I flub something,
Don't worry.
can I be like,
Oh,
oh,
God.
let me start over. Okay. Great.
He's got folders on folders of the information he's looking for.
That's awesome. Sorry, we're gonna have to cut that part out.
Poor Rem. Rem, well, you're gonna get better. You won't have to cut this eventually.
Or are we?
Or are we? True.
I'm good with keeping it.
No, I think it was fine that way, or no. Did
No.
you hear it? Did you understand?
I would say keep it and maybe even keep this part, but I'm telling you, you're gonna love going back a year from now and watching this happen. It's gonna be so cool, and which is also gonna be like a teaching moment for anybody who just like wants to get ready. You can then show them the challenge, and nothing comes out perfect. It's a little rough around the edges at first. And so what? At least you started.
Yeah, but on
Do
our
I look crazy
local,
to you?
I mean,
That
always.
was even before we started.
This is good.
Keep that in the show.
I absolutely love both of you right now. Like,
I'd rather charge them for a couple things like that than charge them additional commission to get it up to 3%.
Got it. Okay.
I feel like Allie, both of us are like dead faced half the time in this episode because we're just like processing.
We're thinking. These are thinking
Thinking.
faces.
Our thinking faces are not cute.
Okay. Do not watch us on YouTube. Please
For real.
listen to this on Spotify.
Oh my god.
So, listeners, if you like this, let us know. Or if you don't, let us know. We got the thickest of skins. I'm from New York. Shelby was in the army, so we got thick skins. Skins. Multiple skins. And
Lots of layers.
Anyway.
7.
yes. So let us know which type of episode that you want. If you want to hear more about this, let us know after. Get a feel for this episode and let us know after. Yeah. This is the Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what the killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it. All tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
So to me, it was really empowering to see how much I could do if my energy and focus was directed in a place that directly rewarded me for my efforts.
Yes, that correlation.
Yeah, very, very cool. But yeah, so by the end of the year, I'll start at the end and then I'll backtrack. By the end of the year, I was the Keller Williams Rookie of the Year for the Carolinas region. So I started at Keller Williams. The Carolinas region was all of North and all of South Carolina. Their annual awards, they like chunk it by
Nice.
regions. And I did 48 closings as a solo agent. I was not on a team that first year. But well, I'm still not on a team. We grew the team now. But looping it back to like business building, that first year, I had a lot of things that were in my favor that I now see hindsight 2020, that at the time I was like, people were like, how the did you just close 48 deals your first year? And I'm like, I don't know. I just worked hard. But now looking back, like it all comes back to building actual businesses. And in the military for 6 years, I was the HR for 700 dudes. The first unit I was in field artillery. The second unit I was in infantry. They were almost all dudes who did not give a about what I was responsible for. So like, awards, evaluations, leave forms, like updating your records, all of these things that have to get done. And there's a million moving parts because there's people coming into the unit. There's people leaving the unit. There's people deploying and redeploying, field training exercises. All of these things fall into tracking in the battalion S-Run role. So I was totally used to chaos and I was totally used to a billion things going on at once. So thank you, Army, for that. And also, I was totally used to SOPs. So standing operating procedures, it's like everything has a checklist. Everything is written down because everyone in the Army, we treat them like, children. Here's your checklist, dumb down. Here's what you do. Right.
Yep.
And then dude, I feel like I'm just like talking so much, but I have like a couple things and then I'll take a break.
No, this is good. Keep going.
Okay. I was totally used to the SOPs, the standard operating procedures. And if they did not exist, I was used to creating them. I was really used to follow up because like I said before, no one gave a about my role. So it would take me having to follow up with the company commanders, the first sergeants, literally the entire organization to get anything done. And I operated off a calendar during those 6 years and met with, the Battalion S3 and the XO, and we would look forward over the next quarter, 2 quarters to plan out training exercises, moving parts, and second and third order effects. So like this was all ingrained into what I had already been doing, along with leading people and overseeing other people's development and performance. Okay.
Yeah. Dang. I mean, that's a lot that you had to learn. I know that a lot of people in the military calendar, it's not a thing. They know that every Tuesday they have a meeting over here and every Wednesday over there, and that's it. And then they go to lunch and then they might leave early for PT. So
totally.
For you to have been able to dive deep into that aspect, and having been in the HR version of the Army, and increasing the skills of calendar, checklist, communication, that's everything that you need to be a successful realtor. That's awesome.
Totally. And the calendar thing, it wasn't just my calendar, it was the battalion commander's calendar that I managed, the XOs, the sergeant major. So I had like 14 calendars that weren't even mine.
Yep. So then add organization to the list. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too, it's like a huge advantage that again, hindsight 2020, I had established enough time to establish myself in that organization as someone who people liked me and they really trusted me. And so the cool thing about that is having like 700 people who know you, like you, and trust you to the extent that they would not just personally work with me, but they put they stuck their necks out to recommend me to other people. So that really presented me with a lot of opportunity that first year, and I did not squander it.
Yeah.
Wait, tell us about the slush fund. Where does that money come from?
So from other investors, where it's almost like a private money loan.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was just like how you get spare change and you put them in a jar in your kitchen. Yeah. I thought that were investors were like, oh, I made more than I wanted. Here's this extra money, Kimberly, for your clients. I was like, what the?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's just more or less like it's like the passivist of passive investing, where I have 2 investors that have, a little bit of money that they're like, hey, you could probably get me more on my return on my investment than me, putting it anywhere else. So, there's enough money in there that if we need to do paint or we need to do, other minor repairs and they are not able to on the front end, because I'll be honest with you. I do not like to put contractors in a place where they have done all this work on the front end and they're expecting to be paid on the back end, because there are way too many variables between contract to close where we may not close. And they are feeding their families. And if they put all of this money into this house, banking on it closing, and then something catastrophic like a pipe bursts on the day of closing, and we have to take it off the market and do all of these repairs, and then we don't get it on the market. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't like to put my contractors in that position, because we have cultivated such a great relationship that they know that I care about my family and I care about their family. And I'm never going to put them in a position where they are losing out on money based on unforeseen factors. Whereas with this quote unquote slush fund, there's promissory notes, there's things like that are put into place that my investors are going to get their money one way or the other. And it's not really hurting them per se. Whereas with contractors, they're putting that money up front.
Totally makes sense. Okay, so to recap, when you receive a referral or, a lead from someone within your sphere of influence, you reach out, you build rapport, you write ahead, manage expectations, set boundaries, decide whether or not you guys have a personality fit. From there, next, you hop on your email and you send them information about yourself, what you do for them. You're introducing your team and a prelim market conditions report. And then from there, you schedule the listing appointment, do the CMA, and show up. Or I guess, can you continue taking us through the process?
So I already have, I will do a CMA prior to, and I will have a listing agreement already drawn up prior to going to the property, because time is a deal breaker. Time is of the essence. So after I send all that out, and I usually send kind of like a resume where it kind of shows my stats, why I charge this much, because the proof is in the pudding, I guess. And I can go out to the house, give them, my honest opinion about whatever needs to be done. This is what we could sell it at as is. You can put a little bit of money into it. You tell me how it is. But I also have a Google sheet that I send out before I go out there too, that has me tell them, are there any liens? What is your bottom line? What is it that you're looking for to walk away with? That's why I don't ever give them what I think it could sell for, because it's usually what they're like, well, I want the most money as possible. Absolutely, everybody does. But I need to know what you are going to be good with walking away regardless. I need to know that number, because we can't be wishy-washy about it, because that's when uncertainty comes in and there's just too many factors about that. I need to know what you are good with walking away with, and some other little particulars. And I will set up a seller's net sheet, depending on if you want to do repairs, and if you don't want to do repairs.
Okay, this is the perfect segue to the golden nugget that you provided, which is the Canva template. And this is beefy. This is so good. For those that use Canva, oh my God, you're going to want to download this one. And of course, you can get it for free at theagentgoldmine.com. Can you walk us through what you brought for everyone?
So there's one that just says, welcome. You're going to receive weekly updates from me here. And this is the email. The CRM that we have actually has some text email drip templates. And I did use some of their words, and I just put them in a Canva spreadsheet. So whenever it comes on an email, whenever people open an email and it's just words on words on words, it's very unlikely that someone's going to read that. So if you can at least break it up with some color, maybe put your logo, put your face, they're at least familiarizing themselves with you, whether or not they call you. But if they're driving around town and then they see a for sale sign that also has your face and logo on it, it just becomes more rememberable. So maybe when you reach out later on, it just adds to your credibility, I would say. So I have some that's walking you through the 6-step process. I always try to make the emails something they can use, whether or not they call me, just so they feel like they're getting help. A lot of my clients are first-time home buyers, just VA.
Yeah.
Big ass.
And you have one for a house tour for open houses. You have a
Yes.
whole Canva for that too. That's awesome. Where you get their information. Please rate this house on the following, location, price, etc. On a scale of 1 to 10. This is cool. This is so
I'll print
good.
those out whenever I'm showing buyers 8 houses or something in one day or 5. I'll print those out. I'll pre-fill out the top and then hand them to them with a clipboard and a pen so they can take notes on the house that they're seeing, so they have something to refresh their memory whenever they go home. But I think it also just makes that extra little step of, oh, wow, you actually prepared for our meeting type thing.
Yeah. And then you're asking some like questions here, the listing questions. Dang, this is what a good golden nugget. Wow, this is okay. There's so much in here, like for so many steps of any transaction. So go on theagentgoldmine.com. If you have any questions, reach out to Jana. Thank you for providing this.
Just a little
Cute,
example.
too.
And you can obviously, my email drip campaign, the first 4 or 5 have the nice Canva, and then it kind of trickles off into less like beefy emails. But by the 5th one that gets sent, we're on like day 60, so they're probably not really a warm lead at that point. I'll eventually make more. It just takes some time.
Yeah, they're so cute too. I really love the visuals because you're right. If you just get like blasted with a bunch of words, it's like, oh, I can't even look at that.
Yeah, and
But
the point
cute
with those,
pictures.
it doesn't have to be like super complicated or intricate. You don't need to pay someone to make them for you. Just like put some stuff, make it look thoughtful, put your face on it, and it feels more personable, I think.
Totally. And you mentioned them being in the CRM drip campaign. What CRM do you guys use?
We use Real Geeks.
Real
CRM.
Geeks. Do you like it?
Mhm. I love it.
What do you love about it?
It is very user friendly. But I think any CRM can do the same functions. I probably don't use it to the best of its abilities.
No one
But
can.
But that's why it's just any CRM will do its thing. It's really the agent has to make the contacts. If you're not contacting people, you are not going to close deals. I mean, I had prior sales experience before coming here, but I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't know anyone. So the only way I was going to close the deal is by calling.
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us, we'll reshare that.
I think what's huge, then I see people not knowing, I think this is what started our conversation, is knowing your hourly rate. Most people don't slow down to understand what they make in an hour. And because of that, they don't know what they can afford for help. And if you don't ask for help, you're not going to be able to grow, because you're not going to be able to sell all of the shoes that my employees so said do for me, right? I'm never going to be able to do all of those jobs, no matter how go I am, right? Not in one lifetime. So I think it's super important. And the easiest way to calculate that for all of your listeners is take the amount of money you made last year and divide it by 2080. And assuming that you worked 40 hours a week, like a healthy 40 hours, right? That would equal to 2,080 hours a year. So if you divide your income with that, you'll get like your approximate hourly rate. Now then you know your hourly rate, now you need to decide to never do anything again that doesn't make you that much money in the hour. And the first time I realized that was my LinkedIn. So I logged into LinkedIn one day and I had like 960 messages. I was like, oh my gosh. It took me 4.5 hours to go through it. There were 4 messages in there that I really needed to address, buyers and sellers or somebody wanting to join EXP, right? So I'm like, it took me 4.5 hours. Do I have to read every single message? I'm so excited we're in the industry together. Oh my gosh, let's have coffee. Like, no, I don't need to read every single one of those. I just need to know if someone's truly serious, then I need to have a conversation with. So that was my first recollection, is then I just lost, and I think at the time, let's say my hourly rate was like $200, right? I just lost $900.
Mm-hmm.
I lost $900 by spending 4.5 hours on LinkedIn, responding to messages and deleting messages and accepting people to be my connections, instead of taking those 4.5 hours and go get another seller that would have made me that $200 hourly rate. at the time, right? So that's how you want to look at it, is that number one, figure out what your hourly rate is so you'll never do again something that's not worth your time, so you can continue growing. But nobody teaches us that, right? Nobody, everything just head down, go get the next lead, and okay, well, everything else needs to get taken care of. So hire it out. Hire out everything that doesn't make you that much money in the hour if you want to grow. And I think that's the one part that we didn't get to cover today.
Oh, it pumps me up so much. I'm like seriously sitting over here so excited.
Running numbers in your head, like, okay, I'm never gonna, like, I actually did it where I put a sticker on my washer and it said it's a very expensive load of laundry. Because how about, if you think about your laundry, how long does it take, right? You're going to go collect all the laundry from the room, separated by color. Then you're going to wash the whites, and you're going to wash the colors, and you're going to wash the darks, whatever order you're going to do it in. Then you're going to take it from the washer, and then you're going to put it in the dryer. And you're going to dry it for an hour and a half. You're going to take it out of the dryer. While the next round is drying, you're going to be folding it. So we are talking easy 3 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Whichever day that you're going to pick, right? So now 3 hours, if you hourly, that's $600 that you could have made. How much do you think someone is going to charge you hourly to come and do your laundry? Pick a number.
Not 600.
What do you think an hourly rate is for a house assistant?
50? 75?
Oh, they're very generous.
Oh,
No,
I was
it's
gonna say
about
20.
$25. $20 to $25. Okay. So let's say you get a house assistant for $25 an hour. You just lost $600, but you saved $75
Yeah.
by doing your own laundry, right? That's how people look at it. It's like, yeah, but I can do laundry, go. And I save myself $75 because 3 hours at 25, right? Yeah, you saved 75, but you lost 600. So you are $525 negative doing your own laundry, even after you paid someone.
What do you feel like is the hardest part? Because I'm sure you've had days where you almost didn't make it, or what is the hardest part to you?
What's the alternative? Not doing it?
Like, are you asking me? I thought that was rhetorical.
Yeah.
Like,
what's the alternative?
I was like on that edge of my seat, dude.
It's like, it's very simple. It's very simple, right? Like, take this podcast you girls are doing. Take your production and everything you girls are doing to create production real estate. What's the alternative? Not doing it? Quitting?
Yeah.
And then, so, okay, walk me through. What does that look like?
Not happening, babe. Ooh.
But seriously,
yeah,
like, think about it, right? Like, okay, let me just walk through not doing real estate right now. Or because a lot of the public speaking, I get paid to go speak on stages and all this jazz. But why?
Yeah.
Because of the credibility I've built within real estate and with coaching. But a lot of my credibility in coaching isn't just because I was in special operations. It's because I went from that world, became a civilian, built something in this world to prove that this mindset correlates and is congruent with civilian world. But it's all on the bedrock of my success within real estate, right? So, okay, so like I just got to, all right, I'm just not going to do it anymore. Okay, what am I going to go do? Okay, like what? Start over and do what? To try to even think of what that would look like is significantly more painful than just the I'm going to go do today, right?
So maybe for them, what the alternative is not painful enough. Because they're finding alternatives to do. They're not following through with what, they said that they wanted to do.
Let me be super unpopular to a lot and very popular to very few.
Yes.
Yes. Ready.
What if I told you I don't want everyone to make it? What if I told you that because I understand from pro baseball to special operations to mercenary work to police work, whatever accolade you can stack on my table. Let's just say I have a relationship with hard work, commitment, sacrifice, and some not so good days. Okay. Those willing, I cannot wait for you, because how you'll feel and what you've earned won't even require a word. It can just be a look from me to that person, right? Like 2 baseball players just went at it the other day. I think it was Cabrera and it was another pitcher from Houston. For those of you non-baseball players, these are 2 guys, an amazing hitter, Hall of Famer, an amazing pitcher, soon to be Hall of Famer. When these guys retire, they will be first ballot Hall of Famers. They've been going toe to toe for 16 years in baseball, pitcher versus hitter. I'm pretty sure they just had one of their, maybe potentially their last at bat against each other ever, because I think one of them's retiring this year, or they both are. And this was the last series, the last game of the last series they were playing each other. Do you know the interaction they had? They looked at each other and they went like this. Because between those two guys, I don't think there is anything that just needs to be said. So the conversation, the language amongst winners is more emotional, can be more silent than explanatory. And if you're not willing to commit and sacrifice and go through hardship and miss birthdays or have a bad day or have a video, that's okay. But I also don't think that you should reap a benefit or earn or have or receive what a lot have sacrificed to earn. I just don't think you belong in the winner's circle. I'm not the everybody gets a trophy guy, right? So like everything we're talking about, I'm not here to convince you that you should do the same. I'm just going to tell you my truth and how I got there. And then if that's not for you, that is so okay, because maybe there's another industry where you are more willing to sacrifice because it does feel more like you and you are, more embedded. Great. But if you're not in it, I'm not going to hand it to you.
Yeah. And that's why they end up not even ever getting to the winner's circle, whether you think that they belong there or not, right?
And good, right? Because it's like, hey man, when they started saying, 60,000 realtors have gone out of the market in the last 90 days. Good. Good, man. It's like, hey, because that should tell you something, man. Like, you're not the weakest link. You're still here. You're still trying. Will, I'm taking L's. You're in the game. Perspective. You're watching this podcast right now. You're seeking more. You're in the game, dude.
House hackers who are investors, but just in a different way, I think are a different breed, because these guys, and I can explain this pretty clearly, and you can do the math out, and it's 100% true, is the quicker you get into the deal, the better off you're going to be. And so if you can do the math of, like, let's say, Shelby, you're an amazing house hacker, right? You're going to buy a deal every year on the year for 5 years. So at the end of 5 years, you're going to have 5 houses. They're each going to be cash flowing. Let's say they each cash flow like 500 each. That's like kind of a lower end of what a house hack would cash flow in the Denver market. And so now at the end of year 5, you've got 5 houses, $2,500 of passive income. Those houses have probably appreciated at least $500,000. And so now you're like sitting pretty good. Allie, let's say like you wait, right? Like you get a deal every 18 months because you're really trying to find a killer deal. But instead of cash flowing 500, you cash flow 600 because you're going to get $20,000 discount, which is about $100 a month. And so now, but you can only get a property every year for the next 3 years. But basically, so in that 5-year period, you'll only get 3 house hacks. And so now you've got about $1,800 of cash flow. Shelby's still winning. Your properties, if they each cash flow $100,000 each, right? Now you've got $300,000 of equity. Shelby is still winning. And what's going to happen when like these properties are paid off, right? Shelby is going to have a lot more money, a lot more cash flow than you. And so like, of course, I'm not actually picking on you guys individually, but that's the whole point, is like the getting the best deal on a house doesn't matter. It's just getting deal after deal after deal after deal, because with house hacking, there is a timer, and that timer is the 1 year from closing. And if you let that extend too long, you're going to miss out on a lot of equity and a lot of cash flow. Yeah. If buyers understand this.
So, yeah. And that is what you write about in your book as well. So I'm sure the book was a lot of leverage for a lot of the conversations to not have to have the same conversations with every single client, but also how do I ask this question? With the investors that were reaching out to you, in qualifying them, would you also turn into a coach too? Because working as an agent, investor-friendly agent, I think takes more time, because a lot of times they're asking you to coach them, and then they don't even have to pull the trigger at the end. Are you running the numbers? Are you coaching them? How much extra time was that?
Yeah, so there's definitely a coaching element. I guess I don't know how much extra time it is because it's the only way I've known. But I would say that if they've read the book, most people who come to me, right, they've read the book, they've listened to the podcast. Like, they're not just like, I think I saw you on this TikTok, whatever. Like, they know that they want to do this, and they've done the research to like understand it. I'm just there to give them the numbers to plug into their calculators. And if they want me to like double check their numbers all day, that takes me 2 minutes, right? And so it's really not that much more time. And I think the kicker too is that when we go show houses, right? We'll get into this a little bit too. is when we go show houses, I knew, and I still know, in our market, how much a room is going to rent for, whether it's a downstairs or an upstairs, whether it's a master bedroom or a regular room, whether it's got a little bit extra, like whatever. Like there's, I could tell you almost exactly what the rooms would rent for. I can tell you what you can get on Airbnb, what you can get as a long-term rental. So I knew all those numbers on the top of my head in each area that Denver, in all the Denver metro. So whether it's Westminster, Arvada, Aurora, whatever. And so knowing that number, right, makes me look like a professional walking in the house. When I can, and I also knew what the mortgage payments were going to be based on the price, knowing I could probably get it within $100, right? With including interest, taxes, insurance, principal, all the whole thing, PITI. And so I would go in there and I'd be like, okay, so this is a 5-bedroom house. You could probably rent out each room for about $700. The master you might get $800 for. So, this is $3,600 in rent. Your mortgage payment is going to be about $2,700. You're going to make $900 over the mortgage. You'll probably want to set aside $400 or $500 in reserves. You're going to cash flow about $400 or $500 in this thing. How's that sound? And people are like, dang, okay, right? That sounds pretty good.
Apple listeners, this short pause is to ask you for a review. Here's how to do it. Back out of the specific episode, go to the page where you see all the episodes, scroll down, keep scrolling. Perfect. Now tap those 5 stars. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
Now, do you know what ARV stands for? I'm going to ask them, and they're going to say no. I'm going to say it's after repaired value. The cool thing about ARV is we don't buy off your current house value. We buy off of what we project your house to be worth after we dump a bunch of money into it. Based on what I've seen here is your house is worth $750,000. You're typically going to be somewhere between 65 and 75% of that number. And then the last one, to be honest with you, is what we call a creative finance score. This is typically if you're going to look at turning your house into a cash flowing asset to you. And then as soon as I say that, I ask them, are you looking for a big chunk of money or are you open to payments long term? And then they will say big chunk of money. Very, very rarely have I said I would take payments long term. We typically know that already on the phone if we're going to do like a seller carry or something like that. So, and then based on that, and depending on where we're at, then I ask them, I say, hey, which one's resonating with you the most right now? 8 times out of 10, they're going to say retail.
Do you do this with so hypothetically, you've done the walkthrough, you've built the rapport, you know them, you know their retail. Do you still do this every single time?
Yep. Every time. Yep.
Because what is the purpose if you're?
It's just my presentation.
By the way, I love it. I think it's the coolest thing ever.
It's just what I do. Because here's what it's done now. Did anybody else come do this? Unless they're trained by me, they don't do it. Nobody else has done this. People are given options. I will say that, but they haven't seen this presentation unless someone's been trained by me, right? Other people have presentations and people are given options at listing appointments. I know they are. So, but they haven't seen this presentation. So I've solidified myself as an expert in real estate and they no longer have to go anywhere else. My goal is for them to pick something while I'm there. So I don't want to have to walk away without doc signed. So I'm prepared to take this piece of business any way that I can. So it solidified me as an expert. I gave them so much information. They're probably a little overwhelmed with it, which again shows them that I understand real estate. I understand real estate at a high level, and they probably don't feel like they need to call another person to have them come look. So I've solidified being an advocate for them, someone that they can always come to. Even if I don't close them, they feel comfortable enough to have conversations with me. Does that make sense? That's
totally.
why I do.
And I feel like I'm totally hot. Allie, this will be my last question, and then I will just shut the up. Even though I'm like, Allie's like, damn it, Shelby.
She's like, when the do I get to talk?
You're just like that girl. Okay.
These long-winded. Just kidding. Sorry. I didn't know if I was.
My hand. I'm like, oh my god.
I know, and I've caught myself point. You just can't see it. I'm over here pointing off screen. Yeah, go ahead. You over there.
Okay, my question is for these offers that you're doing for the institutional buyer or the fix and flip or whatever. Like, are you always 100% sure before you offer that? Like, are you the one who's offering the fix and flip, or you know what I mean?
No, my people are. So like I hope to God they've done a good enough job, but we'll write there. I make everybody that's not me write in a 10-day inspection period. So I can get in, look at it, and then move off of it if I need to, or get a walk back. So we still write inspection periods on our wholesale stuff, What we'll say is like no repairs. There's a 10-day inspection period. Let's just make sure our numbers are right. We'll be real honest with what our numbers are. If we can make the deal work at this number, we will. If we can't, we'll be real honest about it. And then if we can't, we'll pivot into something else. So I've taken people out of cash offers and gone to the market with them. I've also pivoted people off of cash offers into a novation. My last one, we was on a listing appointment. I 4-squared them. They really, really didn't want to list. They really, really didn't want my cash offer. I said, I'll tell you what if I guaranteed you X amount? They go, how are you going to do that? I tell you what, this is what we're going to do. I didn't say it's a novation, but I didn't call it a novation. I said, I'm going to buy your house. You want a little more for your house than I can pay. So let me do this. Let me guarantee you $320,000. The house is worth like $440,000. We were like $30,000 off on what I wanted to buy it at. I said, give me 60 days. And within the 60 days, I'm going to come in, I'm going to rehab your house a little bit, and then I'm going to sell it for you. And for that, anything above 320, I get to keep. And they were like, really? And they're like, yeah. I go, you got to give me the time. I'll come in, I'll rehab it. And then we just did a novation, and now we're in the middle of rehabbing their house, and then we'll sell it, and we'll keep the difference from 425 to 320 or whatever it is. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. And they'll probably put about 15 grand in the house.
Back into the 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 for each business. Because what I have read and heard is like, you should try to attack 3 things in a day, like total for whatever the you have going on. You're doing 3 per business. How specific or small or big are each of these items? Can you give us like a couple of examples of what each business would look like?
Okay, so today was like approve all rents. Make sure everyone starts getting their payouts by like the next 2 days. So that's going through everyone. That's just one task. Yeah. But on the STR side, it's just send email to all potential clients. So it can vary. I have very specific dates that I do stuff. And I know what you're talking about with just the 3 tasks in a day. That's propaganda for losers. You should be able to push yourself past that.
Dude, I was thinking when you asked that though, like in my head, I was like, dude, Mark is like, he's like it's a different species. Because the thing is, like most people, if they have 3 tasks in a day, they're going to like think about it for too long. They're going to rewrite the email 7 times. They're going to, go have a break or whatever. But like Mark is he's an ENTJ, first of all, on Myers-Briggs, if you geek out on that. And then he's a high D personality. And those are like the doers. He shoots, like fires it out. So I can see that being personality driven as well. I don't know if that provides value.
Yeah, I mean, if I had 3 tasks today, approve emails, send reminders, and write an offer to purchase for this property, like I'd be done by 2. What am I going to, how am I supposed to get to where I want to be? Like,
no, that's why I wanted you to ask,
crush it.
But your tasks are also very specific, which I like, because I tend to do tasks that are just like, they have so many subtasks underneath them, and I don't realize that until I'm starting that task. So it feels like I never accomplish a task because there's steps A through M that I have to just push to the next day. But yeah, it seems like you have a very, like, what exactly your next step is, and that's what you put in your business. So that's awesome.
And he's the type of person too who, like, even if he doesn't know what it is, and this is my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but he'll just send it. It's those people where it's like, it's better to make a decision than have indecision in your life. Like, it's the full send, and if it's the wrong one, he'll fix it. That's what I see. What do you think? Yeah?
No, I absolutely agree, because just being stuck in the game, I'd rather be on the field. I'll figure it out once I get there, or I'll fail. But if I fail, I've learned a bunch of things. I never personally think that I'm going to fail. I think I'm the greatest thing at whatever I do. I know maybe I might fail, but if I go out there with an attitude that I'm going to lose, or maybe I shouldn't do this just yet, I know no matter what, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. So for me, I just try to get out there. And I think that's one of the reasons I have bad writing, is because I just send that message so I know it's out there on the world. I don't spell check it, and then I go, I should have spelled that again. God, they changed it to duck again. That makes no sense. So, no, I agree with you. Like, that's for me. And I understand that there's other people out there that look at it and me like, I need to understand everything, and they make really smart business moves. But for me and my personality, you're right. Getting out the gate and at least putting my foot on the field, then it's going to force me to do whatever I need to do.
Yeah. What's another like business hack that you have down that you can share?
Once you grow enough, get an assistant. That's really helpful.
When do you know when you should get one?
When there's too many tasks and you're starting to lose money because of it, and get an assistant that isn't you, but amplifies your weaknesses. Like, there's no reason to dig into your weaknesses. Yes, you should be proficient at them, at least understand your weaknesses. You're not going to make money. You're just going to be mediocre at a bunch of things if you concentrate on your weakness. So hire that person out to aid you. And you can do it very early on in your career. Whether you're a real estate agent, just go get a TC, right? If you're not good at paperwork, get a TC on your first deal. She'll help guide you. More than likely, there'll be more experience with them and they'll help guide you. So there's a lot of things you can even do at the very beginning to help you grow that are going to limit your time. Understand what they're doing and then move on to it. So
Now that I'm in a business where I can utilize social media to literally make money, make a living off of social media, it very much so was a positive reinforcement. And I tell all of the agents that join our group, I'm like, dude, you have to have a social media and have it be your just one account, like one Instagram account. Don't make like another business one. It's just way too much work. Combine everything together. Plus they want to know who you are as a person anyway. And that's how I got literally 92% of my closings were from social media. And I do want to clarify, they're not all complete strangers that found me on social media. I run no ads. The only ads I run are sometimes for open houses and just to boost a specific property that I'm listing. Other than that, I don't run the ads that are like, hey, I'm a realtor. It's just me like organically posting and sharing and educating.
Dude, love. Okay, question though. So like someone's listening to this for the first time and they're like, okay, Allie got on, MySpace back in whatever year MySpace happened. And then, got more into, social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And then, I mean, most people know that you were in the military and you made that transition to agent life. So my question is, was this like a totally strategic play from the beginning? Like, when you got your license, you sat down and you're like, I am going to market my entire business through Instagram? Or how did, or social media become the play for you?
I always try and take the cheapest option first. Because I, like always, the cheapest first. And social media is freaking free. Like, it is freaking free. I'll get into all my costs later. I mean, now I pay that $15 or $12 a month for the stupid check mark, but I'll get into why later. But in the beginning, like, it's free. You don't need that. So I was on it. I was on social media already anyway. I was miserable in my W-2 as a major in the military, and on my way to separate, I switched my handle to be Allie the agent instead of what it was before, which was like, I think, just my name, because I was a federal agent for the Air Force. Like I was a special agent and I was a real estate agent. And I was like, hey, maybe in my military, my comrades won't know, but then I quickly snapped out of that thinking because I didn't want to be a secret real estate agent. I wanted everyone to know, hey, I'm leaving the military for real estate. Think of me whenever you are PCSing. And that's how I got started. So because of course there's so many courses you can buy on how to be a social media guru and just like how to get all your leads through social media in by tomorrow. And it's a freaking waste, because if you're new, start it organically yourself for free. This is how I think about coaching too. I was like, oh man, I think I want to sign up for Tom Ferry coaching. And then I'm like, wait, I have so many free freaking coaches because of the EXP family that I'm in. Why would I pay for Tom Ferry? I originally told myself I would listen to every single Tom Ferry episode, which I have. And then if my business wasn't where I wanted it to be, then I'll pay for it. So that's kind of my mentality overall, is like, I'm going to try it myself. And if by X date I haven't gotten Y results, then I'll get some assistance and pay for it. But I have not needed to, and I don't think you will either.
Okay. I love that you said that too. And a little side note is like, I talk to new agents a lot who same thing you just said. They're like, oh, I just bought Follow Up Boss, but you have KV Core for free. Where I just paid for, dude, Dot Loop, when you have Sky Slip for free. And I love your mindset for that. And I love that you teach your agents that too.
So right now, for the first time in 20 plus years or so, we're experiencing, at least in most markets, cap rate compressions. So if you look at my market, for example, rents are down 6% year over year. So if somebody was at a 10% cap rate, let's just say, the year before, they might be at a 4% cap rate right now, but then stack on that you got taxes going up, you got insurance going up, you got deferred maintenance with labor going up. So they might actually be at a 2.5% cap rate now. So if I'm an investor with a buy and hold and I didn't buy that thing, years and years ago, and I didn't buy that thing right, okay, now I'm watching my, cap rates go down and down and down. So if I were ever to want to sell my house at or close to peak pricing before my cash flow goes into the negative, okay, now is the freaking time. Yeah, right. Then, so we're targeting long-term buy and holds right now. We're targeting the out of your short-term vacation rentals because of the economy right now, dude, you got domestic travel falling off of a cliff. So your average Airbnb, as an example, is like a 70% occ rate. Right now, they're about a 56% occ rate. In my market, they're at a 52% occupancy rate. So you just had 18% of cash flow go out the window from norm. 50% of Airbnbs, mainly short-term vacation renters, were acquired post-COVID. So a lot of these weren't necessarily bought right. So they're, in a tough position. And when I say a lot of them, we're in a business where it's successes happens in the margins, dude, right? Or in the minorities, right? So it's like, okay, I only need 5 or 8% to be in a position to move forward. Like with our investors that we're going after, we're converting at 8%. So 8 out of 100, we get to say yes. The other 92 don't want to sell. Okay, that's fine. Like, give me those numbers, dude. I will pound those numbers all day long. Yeah, right. Then from there, we're targeting the hell out of NODs, notice of defaults. So right now, you've got 2.8% of all mortgage holders throughout the whole entire United States that are now 30 plus days in default. So that equates to between mortgages and HELOCs, because there's 84 million mortgage holders, 12 million HELOCs. So that's almost 3 million people right now throughout the United States that are behind on payments. So when you look, because you look at like people's savings rate. So pre-COVID average savings rate in the United States was around 9%. During COVID, it's shotgunned up to over 30% because of all the stimulus. Now it's down to about 3.5%. So excess savings is gone, right? From COVID, but they're about a third less, so 3x lesser than historic average. But then when you look at debt on the consumer cycle side, credit card debt at all-time highs, mortgage debt, student loan debt, just consumer debt on. So people are barely able, they're not even able to afford life. They're having to go into debt just to afford life. So you got a lot of people hurting right now. So then, okay, we go out there and target those people and help them sell their home and avoid a foreclosure. So that's what I mean by like getting laser focused. So we got to hedge our business plans, keep our minds right, and be more strategic with, our marketing plan pivots. And, when people ask me all the time of like, well, what would you do now today if you were an individual agent versus a team leader? I'm like, it's all the same. The game doesn't change. I just might have, I got 50 people playing the game versus just me. Now my job as a team leader, like I'm not out there personally doing these things. I just need to make sure my agents have the skill sets to go out there and do these things and support them doing these things. But we're still all doing the same. Like the game doesn't change. The only thing that changes is how big you want to scale it and what's your model that you want to build to go out there and deploy to build to scale the game.
Thank you for listening. Out of respect for your time, we want to make this show as valuable as possible for you. So if you have any feedback on how we can improve, please let us know. DM us at Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show.